you voted for Donald Trump, right, Jasper?
Yes, that's correct.
And is there anything that you've seen, Jasper, that has been disappointing to you? Whether it is firing FAA workers, whether it is renaming naval bases, you talk about as a black man, after Confederates who wanted you and I and our ancestors in chains? Is there anything that makes you say, well, damn, this coded language for DEI, where people are losing their jobs because Trump put in an executive order? You got people who work in education in Texas who have lost their jobs. I mean, you voted for this. You voted for this man. And he has not been, especially in the second term, he has not been a friend to black. The black unemployment rate has increased 6.9% among black men. Are you happy with this as a black man, as a Trump supporter? Are you happy with this?
No, I'm not. I'm not happy with a lot of things that Trump's doing. I'm not happy that he's cutting back on like school funding, and I guess they're trying to privatize the school system now. You know, they took over the school district in Houston. I mean, there's things that the state's taking over the school district in Houston. Like, there's a lot of things that I feel like that he's doing that I don't like. You know, but
do you think Donald? Do you think Kamala Harris would have tried to do that, to try to take over the funding of the schools in Houston?
I know for a fact that if Kamala was in office, that would not be happening. But then on
beautiful.
The flip
See,
side,
we're getting somewhere, Jasper. Do you regret voting for Donald Trump?
Not 1 minute.
Why? So after you said all that, you still don't regret voting for Donald after all that he's doing, and maybe you have a lot of money. Maybe you're, I don't know, maybe you're really, really well off. But after all that, I don't know if you have aunties or elderly people in your family who require Medicaid or need their insulin at a certain price. After all that you've just said, why do you not regret voting for him?
What Trump is doing, Trump is bringing law and order back to America. I feel like if Kamala would have been in office, I feel like what we're seeing today, yes, granted, Trump isn't doing everything I would like him to do. There's some things that I don't like, you know, like renaming bases and all that back to Confederate soldiers. I don't like that. But when it comes to Trump,
how is the convicted felon bringing law and order back to America? I'm just curious to know. Give me an example of how the convicted felon is bringing law and order back to America. And also, let's also add, Jasper, you say that, but he pardoned January 6th insurrectionists, Jasper. That is completely contradicts bringing law and order back to America. How is he doing that, Jasper?
Clay, I agree. Pardoning January 6 individuals, I didn't agree with that. You know, but if we're gonna just keep it fair, I don't know if fair is the right word, but he did pardon some black people in the black community. He's pardoned. It just ain't like he just pardoned. I agree
so
with
what?
You,
so
no,
no,
I
but
I agree with you,
but
Clay.
who cares? Who cares? Who cares? He pardoned some I guess one of these rappers. Who cares? But I want you. But that is not bringing law and order back to America. When they broke into the U.S. Capitol, there was a Confederate flag and they spread feces. Like, give me a policy, Jasper, because that's the one thing you care about. How has he brought law and order back to America? Do you mean? Give me a policy of that's law and order.
I'm gonna say people that are here illegally. I'm not talking about the legal immigrant. I don't want to go and group all immigrants as all immigrants need to go. I'm not saying that. But if you are here illegally and you've been here 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and then you get wrapped up in all this and you didn't take the time to make yourself to go through the process to get your green card, to become a legal immigrant in this country, then that's your fault. I'm not feeling sorry for somebody that's been here 15.
But you're not answering my question. I want to be really clear with you. Being here undocumented, it is a civil violation. It is not a misdemeanor or even a felony. So you're really focused on immigration, and my concern is they're getting you with that, even as they're being anti-black. So don't conflate immigration with law and order, because being here undocumented without legal status is not a crime in most states, in most cases. It's typically a civil violation. So again, you brought up law and order. Tell me, because that's an immigration discussion. That's not about felonies. Tell me how he's bringing law and order back to America. Give me a policy.
I don't have any policies as far as what he's doing to bring back law and order outside of
that's what I'm saying, Jasper. Jasper, that's what I'm saying, brother. See, but you do know how he's bringing a lot of anti-blackness back to America. You do know that. You do know the black unemployment rate is ticked up, correct? You heard me say that, right?
Right. I heard that on the news.
You do know he's renaming naval bases back to Confederates. You do know that, right?
Right. I do know that.
You do know that at one point he implied that DEI, that was the reason for that plane crash in D.C. and there were black folks who were in that plane crash too. You do know that, right?
I didn't agree with him saying that. I agree.
Yeah. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. That's very disturbing to me. And Jasper, we're having a dialogue here. We've been on for a while. I just feel like you're in the cult, man. And if you really were all about these immigrants, Obama was the deportation president. Kamala Harris actually convicted immigrants who were here illegally and committed crimes. She had a record of doing that. Because here's the thing, Jasper. They don't want an immigration fix. They don't want a real immigration fix. They want there to always be the problem so they can complain about it and blame everything. Low wages, bad health care, bad schools, immigrants. And you got to be better than this, Jasper. As the black unemployment rate for black men is ticked up, as black women are losing their jobs, as 18% of federal workers are black folks, and there are federal workers who work in Texas. As people are telling you what they're doing in this administration. And when you bring up law and order, all I could think about is January 6th insurrectionists who were all convicted of a crimes, the ones who were convicted that he pardoned. You disappoint me, Jasper, brother. You disappoint me, man. You gotta... It's disappointing, man. But I'm a nice guy, Jasper. You know I am. Final comment.
Yeah. But you always been a nice guy with me, especially when I ain't coming on here acting the fool. So I want to say I appreciate you. I appreciate Alan Orr. Hey, sometimes we agree, sometimes we disagree. But I still love y'all, man, for sure.
Appreciate you, Jasper.